Alright, next up is a layers feature called adjustment layers. And here's what it is. Remember earlier I showed you how to use the stuff underneath image adjustments, and we tried curves and levels and some of the other ones. I'm going to go back to curves and just remind you what it looked like. Remember we could click in that line and darken our image to make it look a little better. But what the point I want to make here is that curves adjustment that I just did is permanent. Unless I undo it or use history to reset it, I made a permanent change out there to my background. Now there's ways I could have gotten around that. I could have gone to this background layer and made a copy of it. Okay, so I have my original one on back here, and I have this background copy, and I could have gone into curves and made my change on that copy layer, and that would work, but it's a little bit cumbersome to have to do that. Now, it is a good idea to make copies of your layers, so that way you have your original ones. But Photoshop's given us another option, rather than having to do that, called an adjustment layer. Here's what they are. See the buttons at the bottom of the layers palette? We've talked about several of them. The little trash can, the copy layer button, but there's one in the middle. It looks like a circle, it's half black, half white. I'm going to click on that, and if you look at this list that pops up, it's all the same stuff that was up here underneath image adjustments. So it lets me access all these features, but from right here, and better yet, look, it brings up this menu. It's kind of a miniature of the curves menu, but it works the same way. But better yet, it lets me make this change. Looks just like the change before. But when it does it, look at my layers palette. Here's my background. But here's what the adjustment layer put above the background. It's applying the effect to the layer beneath it, but it's changeable. And I can even hide it to see what my background looked like originally. I can double click on this thumbnail, this left thumbnail. It brings up that curve menu again that I can change on the fly. It's fully adjustable and doesn't affect the actual pixels on the layer beneath it. It's making a change up here kind of in the sky above the background layer. So it's a great thing to know how to do. I use it all the time because it's a way not to do something that's permanent, and it's a way to do something that gives you options. And options are always good to be able to adjust things as you need to. You may come back and look at that later and think, oh, it's a little bit too dark. Bring that back up, lighten it just a little bit, and we're all good. Okay, those are called adjustment layers, and they all, you can do different ones. There's hue, saturation, and variations, and actually variations isn't listed here. Hue, saturation is, and some of the other ones we've used, levels. Not every single one of those is listed, but most of them, the kind of the heavy hitters are in there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close this living room out for now. I'm back to the duck and the dune. I'm going to get the duck selected, take him back over. Close this up, don't need that. And look, I just totally cheated. I copy pasted him over there just because it was nice and fast. I'm going to get him a little smaller, edit transform scale. I just want to use this opportunity to show you a few more of those layer style effects. And I'll do drop shadow one more time. In case you forgot, layer style, drop shadow. Get it out of the way. It lets you throw a shadow behind your duck. You can increase the size of it, the distance, the angle, and all that. It gives you kind of a realistic looking drop shadow. This is not a cast shadow, it's a drop shadow. It's like he's been lifted straight up off that background, but it creates depth, and as for design, oftentimes depth is a good thing. It's one of those things we like. Okay, but there's other ones. I'm going to take the drop shadow off. Let me show you what the outer glow looks like. You have to check on it, you have to click on it, get it blue like that. But look at this slight glow that popped up around him. I can increase the size again. I can increase the spread. I can change the color of that. I can make the opacity different. I'll click in this little yellow box. I want him to have like a neon green glow. I can do that. So it's just such a fast way to do it. Now I'm going to show you in the next video how to do it kind of the old way, so you can compare the differences. Now it doesn't mean the new way is better. It just means it's faster in some ways. But faster sometimes means less control. If you don't like your outer glow, you can turn it off. Go back to your drop shadow. When I say less control, it means I have total control in this menu over my shadow, but it is in a menu. It's not out here actually something that I control in my file. Like right now, if I want to move that shadow over, I can't. It's connected to the duck. It's not on a separate layer. So the next video, I'm going to show you how to make that shadow kind of the old school way, where it's on a separate layer where you have a little bit more control over it.